Quite beautiful afternoon today. We had finally we launched the GeoEnergy Atlas. Thank you very much for staying a bit extra to have a quick chat with us. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. I'd like to start with Ceri, because you were strongly involved in the preparation of the Atlas. But what is it actually?
So the Atlas is a visual online communication tool. It shows what we know about geology and our opportunities for CO2 storage and deep geothermal. And it also shows how much there is left to do, which is really exciting because as researchers, we're always looking for the next thing that we have to do. And this is great news because we can see what we know, what we need to know, and how we complete the picture for Europe for the future.
Thank you, Ceri. Serge?
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful product right now, which is it's integrating a lot of the data and knowledge we have at geological surveys. And we have integrated that in one platform. So you can just browse through it. You can see what kind of information actually is in the different countries via a geographical information system that's online. And also the other thing is that we have, let's say, integrated that information in a pan-European overview. So we have also more consistent information now across countries. And I think that's one of the big benefits for this Atlas.
Yeah, so both of you mentioned data. So all our data, all our work, it ends up in the GDI, the European Geological Data Infrastructure. Can you tell us a little bit more which type of data actually everybody can find in the GeoEnergy Atlas?
So it contains a lot of geological information. It contains information about the rocks, the porosity, the permeability, their depth, their properties. It helps us really assess the storage potential. It's taken a lot of time to gather this data. It's a huge resource and development. It's a huge amount of expertise that's been poured into this atlas to make this wonderful product, which we're really excited to have launched today.
Yep, but we didn't start from scratch, right, Serge?
No, I think what we have already done as the geological services, decades of work on CCS and on geothermal. And it's always done in different projects. And these projects have an ending timeline. And so what this project actually does is bring that all together in a platform that we can sustain and maintain for a longer period. So it becomes available also for future policy making. And for current policy making, of course. So industries could access it. But also if you're living somewhere, you could see, for example, is there any potential below the ground where I live, where my village is, could be, for example, extract geothermal energy. And those kinds of information are, of course, very valuable for planning our future uses.
No, you also mentioned, Ceri, again, about really specific geological property and rock properties. How is this work and this data useful, for example, for a policymaker?
So what we really wanted to do in the Atlas is communicate what data we have and what there is left to do. So we've brought in the storage readiness level, and that explains how much data we have about a particular opportunity for geological storage of carbon dioxide and how much there is left to do. And I think that's a really good way of communicating to policymakers. Here's what we know, here's what's left to do, so that it's clear that assessing opportunities for CO2 storage is a journey. You start with a little data and you grow more and more data and more understanding as you grow towards actually using the site.
And so today we presented the CO2 storage and deep geothermal, but these are not the only thematics that we are covering, right?
No, what we see, of course, CCS of CO2 storage, I should say, because we look at what can we store in the subsurface. This is very much connected to the current policies on the Net Zero Industry Act. We are going to make a huge leap, I think, in the coming decades to develop CO2 storage for our climate goals. We need that anyway. So we need to know where we plan those sites, how we connect it to the sources where CO2 is produced. And geothermal is, of course, very important as well. We want to have renewable heating, which is also supporting the sustainable energy goals that we have. But we also are going to be confronted with a lot of wind and solar, so variable energy. So we need to look also to the possibilities to store hydrogen, for example, so we can also keep the energy system in balance. So those kind of information are going to provide it as well. And the nice thing is It's not only different types of information, but we also start receiving a lot of new information in the coming years. So now we finally have also the platform where we can integrate that new additional information. So it's not only the old stuff that we have done, but it's also being updated every time with new information. So I think those two things are important.
Yeah. Then, so our community, we put a lot of work, a lot of brains in our work, but we also put a lot of heart. So I'd like to wrap up the conversation. I'd like to ask both of you, what are you most excited about for what it has to come yet?
So, I mean, this is only the first iteration of the Atlas covering CO2 storage and deep geothermal. And as Serge said, in the future, it will cover much more, including hydrogen, shallow geothermal, and other useful information that we need to know to support policy decision-making. I think what I'm most excited about the current version is the huge pan-European coverage that we have. We've got so many countries, so many researchers all working together. And I think it's fantastic because looking at how we tackle the climate challenge, it's such a global challenge and we all need to work together in Europe and across the European continent. And it's fantastic to see all of this brought together into one place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would add to that also that the level of knowledge and information that we have varies quite a lot in Europe. And what this Atlas actually does in this project is bringing also a lot of that knowledge and information on a similar level. So we're doing a lot of knowledge exchange, we learn and we build a better product all the time. So that is a cycle that we will go through.
Yeah, great. Looking forward to see the future version of the Atlas.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.